Hey everyone, my name is Becca and welcome to my channel. I am so glad that you are here, and if you're new to this channel, big welcome. We focus on all things middle grade literature here, specifically reading aloud the first chapter of all your favorite middle grade novels. So if you love a good first chapter Friday, you're in the right place. Today we're in for a treat, and I know I always say that, but I mean, this is Alan Gratz. You can't get any better than that. If you're not familiar with Alan Gratz, you may be familiar with his other novels, Refugee and 2 Degrees, and that's just to name 2. This book is centered around the topic of Pearl Harbor. It's a wonderful piece of historical fiction, and I am so excited to share it with you. That being said, let's just dive right on in. I'm going to read the front inside cover to you so we can get an idea of what this book is going to be about. A date that will live in infamy, December 6th, 1941. Best friends Frank and Stanley have it good. With their dads stationed at the Pearl Harbor Naval Base in Hawaii, the boys get to soak up the sunshine while writing and drawing their own comic books. World War II might be raging overseas, but so far America has stayed out of the fight. There's nothing to fear, right? December 7th, 1941. Everything implodes. Frank and Stanley are touring a battleship when Japanese planes zoom overhead, dropping bomb after bomb. As explosions roar and sailors scream, Frank and Stanley realize the unthinkable is happening. Japan is attacking America. The war has come to them. Frantically, the boys struggle to find safety, but disaster and danger are everywhere, from torpedoes underwater to bullets on the beach, to the shocking cruelty that their friends and neighbors show Stanley. Because his mom is Japanese American, Stanley is suddenly seen as the enemy. And Frank, who is white, cannot begin to understand what his friend is now facing. If the boys make it through this infamous day, can their friendship and their dreams survive? Or has everything they know been destroyed? Told with immediately high-stakes action and inventive storytelling that make Alan Gratz one of today's biggest authors, this riveting look at the attack on Pearl Harbor explores the themes of prejudice, power, and what it truly means to be a hero. Ooh, I don't know about you guys, but I got the goosebumps a couple of times throughout that. So without further ado, let's get going. This book is broken up into a part 1 to start, which is Before. The Arsenal of Democracy. Saturday, December 6th, 1941. It's an attack, Stanley cried. Enemy airplanes, dozens of them, coming in lower over the water. They're shooting machine guns, I added, turning in my seat, dropping torpedoes. Fire, explosions, shrapnel everywhere, Stanley said. The water around us was a sparkling mirror, the sky bright blue without a cloud or plane in sight. My best friend Stanley Summers and I were sailing across Pearl Harbor in our little aluminum motorboat, heading home from baseball practice. Stanley was steering, and I was sitting facing him. We were talking out a story idea for the superhero we were creating together. I was the writer, and Stanley was the illustrator. It was going to be the greatest comic book ever. And flying up to meet them, I went on, is Warhawk, protector of the innocent, guardian of freedom. He smashes one plane with his fist and uses his heat vision to destroy another. Bullets ping off his chest. Wait, Frank, Stanley cuts in. Warhawk has too many superpowers. I paused, confused. What do you mean, I asked. He's got as many powers as Superman. Superman's a cheat, Stanley said. He's super strong and super fast. He can fly. He has X-ray vision and super hearing and super breath. It's boring. He shook his head. Our character should have one superpower, like how Captain America has super strength or the Flash has super speed. I leaned forward in my seat. Oh, come on, I said. You're telling me you'd rather be Captain America than Superman? Heck yeah, Stanley said. He took his hand off the tiller to give me a crisp salute, Stars and stripes, baby. Wouldn't it be amazing to get the super soldier serum? I wanted to say yes, but Steve Rogers hadn't known what that super soldier serum was going to do to him before he took it. What if it had killed him? Or turned him into a monster? I wouldn't have taken that risk. Not even for the chance to be Captain America. But I wasn't going to admit that to Stanley. I held tight to the sides of the boat as Stanley steered us forward toward Ford Island. A light breeze wafted the smell of pineapple and sugarcane across the bay, and the palm trees along the shore swayed. Somewhere, a radio played the soft, plinky sounds of Hawaiian ukulele music. In some ways, it felt like someone had already slipped me the super soldier serum. I'd grown 12 inches in the last year. Now, at 13 years old, I was taller than my mom. I was like one of those Charles Atlas ads you saw on the back of comics. Send this for free book and go from scrawny runt to Greek god in just 3 months. Only I didn't feel like a Greek god. I was always tripping over my own big feet, and I felt clumsy and awkward in my new body. Stanley was the opposite. He was comfortable in his skin, with a casual confidence that I tried to copy, but could never get quite right. Like his clothes. While I wore a t-shirt and rolled up jeans like most boys our age, Stanley stood out in his white shorts and oversized aloha shirt with bright red flowers. He did his own thing and didn't worry what anybody thought of him. Stanley and I looked different in other ways too. I was white, with skin that turned pink from sunburn, blue eyes, and wavy light brown hair. Stanley was a cross between his Japanese-American mom and his white dad with tan skin, dark brown eyes, and straight black hair. But we were brothers, forever and always, thanks to our love of comic books. How sold are you on the name Warhawk? Stanley asked, pulling me out of my thoughts. Not particularly, I said. We'd taken his name from the type of fighter plane my dad flew in the Navy, but I'd never loved it. It made our hero sound like he was always looking for a fight. You got any other ideas? I asked Stanley. No, he said. You're the writer. I was hoping you had something. I thought about it as I looked across the water. Ringing Pearl Harbor like stone sentinels was the steel gray battleships and cruisers and destroyers that made up the U.S. Pacific Fleet, all enjoying a lazy Saturday afternoon in port. The big ships gave me an idea. I turned towards Stanley feeling a rush of excitement. How about the arsenal of democracy? I said. It was something I'd heard President Roosevelt call the United States on the radio. There was a war happening overseas. Adolf Hitler, the evil leader of Nazi Germany, was trying to conquer all of Europe, and maybe the world. Hitler had made a pact with Italy and Japan to form the Axis powers. Great Britain, Russia, China, and most of the other countries in the world, the Allies, were fighting against the Axis. But so far, America had stayed out of the war. We still wanted to help, so the U.S. had become the arsenal of democracy, cranking out ships and planes and tanks and guns to loan to the Allies. I don't know, said Stanley. It's kind of wordy. Stanley's lack of enthusiasm took some wind out of my sails, but I wasn't ready to give up. It's like Sentinel of Liberty, I argued, knowing how much Stanley loved Captain America's nickname. And we can call our character Arsenal for short. Okay, yeah, Stanley said, smiling as he came around. And maybe he uses a shield, just like Cap. Something like this. Stanley pulled a pencil and paper from his pocket and started sketching, which was a bad idea because he was the one driving the boat. That is actually the end of the first chapter already. I know, so quick. Sometimes I'm so tempted to read an extra chapter or two, but I will leave that with you guys. We've got two best friends who are about to go through an absolutely life-changing incident together. So if you love Alan Gratz, if you love historical fiction, get your hands on Heroes. All right, everyone. Until next time, happy reading.